Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
So let's stay with the Tories for the moment. I spoke to the Business Minister, Nadhim Zahawi, earlier this evening. Nadhim Zahawi, the Secretary of State for Wales, was forced to resign today because he'd endorsed a Tory candidate for the Welsh Assembly that he knew had been part of the collapse of a rape trial. If he's not fit to serve in the cabinet, why is he fit to represent the Vale of Glamorgan?
In his letter, he does say that he's confident he can clear his name. This is obviously a very sensitive issue, and there's still
he
legal
won't clear
proceedings.
it in time for the election.
But look, a man is innocent. This country prides itself on its legal system, and of course, he has, I think, the right to be allowed the space to clear his name, Andrew. And I think that the people of the Vale of Glamorgan will back Alan, will return because he's been a very fine constituency MP.
Another cabinet minister, Jacob Rees-Mogg, he opined that if more Grenfell Tower residents had ignored the fire brigade and left the building, more would have survived. What possible qualifications does he have to make that judgment?
Well, he has apologised unreservedly when he misspoke. And I think...
He misspoke?
He did, absolutely. Andrew, have you never misspoken in your life? Have you ever met a human being that's never misspoken?
I tell you this, Mr. Zahawi, it would never cross my advice to give my mind to give advice to people in a tower block that's on fire.
I don't disagree with you.
He did.
And he's apologised unreservedly for it. And I think, as I say, you know, we're all human. We make mistakes. He's made a mistake, and he has said that he unequivocally apologises.
Right, but what does this tell you about his mindset, or the Tory mindset? He's never lived in a tower block. We don't even know if he's ever been in a tower block. He's certainly never been trapped in a fire in one. I mean, isn't this the new height of Tory arrogance, to lecture the people of Grenfell on what the common sense thing would have been to do on that terrible tragedy?
Well, first of all, no one has the right to lecture the people of Grenfell. No apology is good enough for the people of Grenfell, which
including
is why we held an inquiry. We have the first phase of that inquiry, and we're absolutely going to deliver on the recommendations. There'll be the second phase of that inquiry. But look,
but he pays no price for these words.
Well, hold on. No, he has paid a price because he has had to come out and apologise, rightly so. But look, let's just step back a second, Andrew. Right? If this is about demonising the Conservative Party, because that's what Labour is good at, to say that we're nasty Tories. Do you know, to dehumanise, to demonise people is a process that then allows you to attack them in all sorts of ways.
So it's the poor,
Conservative...
It's the poor Tory party that are victims now.
No.
You're being demonised.
No. You have every right to criticise and to challenge our policies, to challenge when we make a mistake, but to say that the whole party is somehow a nasty organisation is simply not true.
All right, well, listen to what one of your colleagues had to say about Jacob Rees-Mogg.
I think I can probably guess.
Bridgen, he's now a candidate. He was until this week an MP. He's running again. This is what he said defending Jacob Rees-Mogg.
But we want very clever people running the country, don't we, Evan? That's a byproduct of what Jacob is, and that's why he's in a position of authority. What he's actually saying is he would have made a better decision than the authority figures who gave that advice.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
I regret it. I think Andrew has apologised.
Again, does every Tory who mentions the word Grenfell then have to apologise?
No, but if they misspeak, if they say something that is clearly wrong, they should apologise, and Andrew Bridgen has apologised.
But let's just stand back a bit and see. It's not about demonising the whole of the Conservative Party, but there is a pattern here. We have a multi-millionaire Oldetonian saying he's got more common sense than the ordinary folk of Grenfell. We've got another Tory cabinet minister backing a former aide who was involved in a collapsed rape trial. The judge said it was done intentionally. And I haven't even mentioned your candidate in Gower, who said that certain folks on benefit should be, quote, put down. What does all that say about the character of your party?
Well, I can tell you what it says is when we have the first Muslim Chancellor of the Exchequer in Sajid Javid, a boy from Rochdale living above a shop. We make him Chancellor of the Exchequer. When you have someone who's of Kurdish background like me, came to this country fleeing Saddam Hussein, that is the party.
So why are you alongside people who say these things?
Well, as I said, look, people make mistakes.
Do they belong in your party? That people on benefits should be, quote, put down?
She apologised.
You always apologise.
Said,
it seems to me that all you have to do in the Tory party is apologise and you carry on as normal.
First,
no penalty is paid.
But that's not true. That is absolutely not true, because we've had parliamentarians who have been suspended or for whatever the misdemeanour. We are all human, Andrew.
I understand that.
You should be allowed the chance to make good.
But
That's
sometimes when the rest of us make a mistake, we pay a penalty. But let me go to the political price you could pay for this. Because we hear a lot at the moment about blue-collar conservatism, in the Boris Johnson Tory party. You hope to win Labour Leave voters in the Midlands and the North. But these comments that I've quoted, don't they just show that the Tory elite, you've got nothing in common with working class voters. You've no empathy, you've no insight, you've no experience, you've just got disdain and smug superiority.
That is absolutely not true, and I do not recognise that as my party. And I would not belong to a
Jacob
party
Rees-Mogg
like
would
that.
have more
No.
common sense than the folk of Grenfell.
He said,
the Gower candidate says people on benefits, some of them should be put down. If that's not disdain, what is?
Jacob apologised. The candidate for Gower apologised. People can make mistakes. They should be allowed a second chance.
So nothing has gone right for you in the past 48 hours in this campaign. Is that why the Prime Minister decided to kick it off this morning by comparing Jeremy Corbyn to Stalin's persecution of the kulaks?
Well, I think Boris has got a point. I think if
Really?
if Jeremy Corbyn gets his way, this country will become Britain's-Wales. Britain will be
But he
like
wasn't talking about
Venezuela.
Venezuela. He was talking about Stalin
I'm
and the kulaks.
I'm giving you another image of
No,
what
but
it
I'm
would be
asking
like.
you, is it a fair comparison? Is it in any way a sensible comparison to compare Jeremy Corbyn's attitude to business people and to rich people to Stalin's persecution of the kulak farmers?
Well, Judge Jeremy Corbyn, by his words, he says that he wants to increase taxes on business because he is obsessive about tax rate, not tax take. You know this better than anyone. He wants to really hammer businesses and doesn't like the idea that corporation tax is down at 19%, coming down further to 18 and 17%. By the way, the take into the Treasury has gone up. Why? Because businesses invest when they see that actually the government's on their side. Jeremy Corbyn is not on the side of business. And he wants to create a them and us society. That he's all about division. He wants to demonise the wealth creators, the entrepreneurs that make this country great, that pay for all the public services.
And that's your line, and that's
no, it's
fine.
not. That's the truth.
Well, that's what you claim. And we know that Mr. Corbyn wants to raise taxes on the better off and raise taxes on business. And you can agree or disagree with that. But your leader compared him to Stalin and his persecution of the affluent Russian farmers. Can I just point out, this is not about raising taxes. This isn't even about forcing people to take big cuts in income. Stalin deported 2 million kulaks to Siberia. He had hundreds of thousands of them shot. He did nothing when 5 million peasants then starved to death. The comparison between that and Mr. Corbyn wanting to raise taxes on the rich is absurd.
Well, when you begin...
Isn't it?
No, when you begin to demonise the wealth creators, the entrepreneurs, it is, in my view, an incredibly dangerous road to go down. Because
so is he going to have them shot?
I don't know. You have to ask him that question. But
you're seriously saying to our viewers tonight that you don't know if Mr. Corbyn's going to have wealthy people shot?
We'll take their money away. He wants to abolish all public schools. Hasn't explained to us how he's going to educate those 600,000 children in the state sector.
And he wants not shooting hundreds of... This is getting absurd.
He wants to take away their property. You know, this country is a property-owning democracy. It cares about the legal rights of people. Jeremy Corbyn is attacking business, attacking property rights.
He's not shooting people or starving them to death, is he?
Well, you're right, but the analogy of attacking and dehumanising still holds.
Let's come to the dodgy stats. Health spending. The Prime Minister today claimed that the NHS was in line for another £34 billion. That's not true either, is it?
No, it is, but 34
not.
billion additional spending by 2024.
That's the cash figure. After inflation, which all public spending is judged by, the real figure...
Inflation is incredibly low.
I understand that, but you apply low inflation, and the real figure is 20 billion over 5 years. Not 34 billion, 20 billion over 5 years. Now, I agree.
I said to you the 2024 number.
It's a decent chunk, but it's not 34 billion.
It is 34 billion in cash in 2024.
But nobody judges things by cash.
Why not? Because that's what people understand. Your viewers understand cash.
If it doesn't match inflation, it's not an increase. It's not a real increase. And by the way, even the 20 billion is less than the average annual increase the NHS has been given since it was founded. Less. Why can't you just be straight with voters?
We are being straight. We're putting our numbers. You're scrutinising right now. We're doing exactly that on your show, and we're going to do more of it when we fully cost our manifesto, and people can then make a decision on those competing visions. Do they want that investment, whether it's 34 billion in cash or 20 billion after taking inflation, or do they want two referenda, one on another rerun of Brexit and another one to break the union? That is the competing vision.
It all comes down to a matter of trust and the figures that politicians tell us. And you want Brexit out of the way to concentrate on these things. I understand that. You call them the people's priorities. Like housing, which is another one. In the 2015 election, you promised to deliver 200,000 new starter homes for first-time buyers. How many have you built since that promise?
Well, I saw this headline earlier saying that actually I don't think many have been built or none at the moment, but actually we've been building almost 300,000 homes. That's what we want to, that's the ambition, is to get to
That's the ambition. You're not building
300,000 homes every year.
The answer, according to the National Audit Office, is zero. Not 200,000.
I just said that to you.
Not 100,000.
On that particular category.
Not 50,000. Zero. You spent £174 million buying up the land, but you didn't build a single starter home on it.
But you know what happens as well, Andrew, is that there's a planning process. No, there's a pipeline. There's a planning process that you have to go through, which sometimes, in my view, takes too long. And I know Robert Jenrick, the Secretary of State, is doing serious work in addressing this issue. Right. But we are building more homes, more affordable homes.
You just didn't build any of the new starter homes.
This particular category.
After 4 years in which you made that promise, not a single home into that promise. That's trust.
But we're building homes for those who want to get onto the housing ladder.
Just not the ones you promised.
Well, look, we can nitpick on this, Andrew. The reality is this government has done more to build affordable homes, making sure that we build more and give more to housing associations to build homes for those people who need them. That is what this government is delivering. But you'll be able to judge us on our, not just our delivery, but also on what we want to do in our manifesto, which we will fully cost.
Nadhim Zahawi, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I've been getting away with it.